365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish redone whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
Hello and welcome back to 365 Flicks Road to Infinity War. This is Captain America, the first Avenger.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we're not alone.
We're not alone, no. We don't like doing these things alone because that is far too much work for us. So we've been calling in some of our pod friends, some of our former guests of the show, and tonight we have got, well, we were supposed to have both the Weird Science boys, but
yes.
America sweetheart Eric Shea has decided he's far too good for the 365 Flicks anymore.
Well, I'm angry.
Well, he is, isn't he? Isn't he good for anything? He is good. He is too good for life, is what I heard. Is what he goes with. But yes, Eric is.
It's
sick.
not a horror movie.
Yeah, that's true too. That's why. But yeah, Eric is sick and couldn't join us. Unfortunately, that's his excuse. I don't believe him.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
No, I don't.
I think he's just being a little bitch about the whole thing, and
that is true.
That's what we're going to go with.
That's his favourite movie, isn't it?
Yes, he ends up. That's the thing is the movie we're talking about, Captain America. He loves, so it's a shame that he's not here. Yeah, like Brandon said, it's not a horror movie. So you do a lousy horror movie from the mid '80s, like like Lost Boys.
Oh, whoa.
I love that movie as well, so I can't say that. Though I don't. Do you consider, seriously, do you consider Lost Boys a horror movie? Because
No.
I don't. No, there's no way.
I've never seen Lost Boys.
Oh, it's so good.
It's more like an erotic fantasy.
Yes, it is. You get on that boardwalk and then get on the ocean. See a greased up man with a mullet, gyrating with a saxophone. And you open up new venues in your life is what happens.
Sounds like a weekend in Buffalo.
No, it is. It's even better. But yeah, I don't want to. This doesn't have to be longer than it has to be. So I don't know why I brought up Lost Boys, but I will let you continue.
I did say that to Chris before we started recording. I was like, okay, let's. It is quite late for us, so let's try and keep this to like an hour and 20 at most. And I was like, but I thought, with Jim being on, that shit's not going to happen.
And that's what happens. No. I'm going to relax. I will not bring up crazy things. So I will let you continue. I'm sorry, with whatever. But yeah, Eric will not be here. But Brandon is and I am. So.
Brandon is. So what we're going to do is, before we start off, we like to get our guests to tell us a little bit, not tell us, but tell the listeners who they are, why they're on, and pimp the podcast. And Brandon, just give us what you've got.
All right. Well, you might know me from Jim's podcast, most likely, the Weird Science one. We do the Marvel Minute with Trevitt, and we've spun that off to Marvel Madness, where we talk a few extra books. And yeah, that's where you can find me, other than at work for 8 hours a day, or taking care of this little girl. You can probably hear in the background throughout this recording here.
Awesome. And Jim, we don't need to know about you.
No, nobody does. I don't want anybody to know. I try to hide out and remain anonymous is what I will do.
Just do me a favor and tell everyone about Weird Science, because when I tell people about your podcast, nobody believes that it exists.
Well, I am part of the Weird Science DC Comics podcast, which is a weekly podcast that runs about 8 to 11, 12 hours a podcast. So,
and that's why nobody believes it exists.
Yes, no. We actually, I would say average in 3 years, we haven't taken a week off. So we have 159 straight weeks of podcasting. And I think the one time I did see some stats, I think we average 8.5 hours a podcast. But have gone up to, I think, 13.5 hours was our long.
That's insane.
It's crazy. So what we do is we basically review and talk about every DC comic that comes out that week in the comic realm and read listener mail and have rant and raves and things like that. And basically, the mail itself is usually 3 hours.
Yeah.
episode. And we try to read every single mail, every single show, and things like that. But yeah, that's about it. But it's Weird Science, DC Comics. Yeah.
And I suggest you do listen to it if you've got a spare, 3 or 4 days a week.
Every day. I said one time we were actually going to have like a thing where we were going to marathon some episodes to be like a 24-hour thing. And when we did, the last 2 episodes actually averaged out to, I think, 26 hours. So we basically said it's not even worth trying to marathon anything for a whole 24 hours because we won't even get 2 episodes done. But yeah, we're pretty insane with that. We try to, have some fun. We get way off the rails often, and that's why.
And if a weekly 11 to 12 hour podcast wasn't enough, they also have like another 12 other podcasts that they do a week.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insane, but I love it all. So,
well, thank you.
And a big shout out to your massively loyal community as well. Do you want to give them a shout out?
Yeah, the Get Fresh crew. Beep boop. I should have the soundboard. I need Wrong Turn sound clips going here. But yeah, a big shout out to them. I'm sure they'll listen to this and probably say that I sound like an idiot because you say this and said during that intro why we would be here. I don't know. Because we are obviously we're talking about Marvel movies. Though again, that's the thing is I separate fully. I know a lot of fans who are fans of DC Comics or Marvel Comics. They tend to kind of stay within those boundaries when it comes to the movies. And you'll have a guy who's there bitching and moaning that the Justice League movie is great, and they're wrong. But even so, I like the Marvel movie universe better than the DC universe. So I will tell you that ridiculous if anybody thinks that, a DC guy shouldn't talk about Marvel, though I don't really know much about it. You'll hear about my Captain America background and probably why I actually like this movie so much. But yeah, I think I'm going to be in the minority here with my love of this movie. But yeah.
You'll be fine. What we like to do is start off before we run into a little rundown of the movie itself. We'll break down some plot points. We'll get into the big beats. But first of all, we like to run out some numbers. This movie, when it first came out, way back in 2011.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Really? I thought actually it was older than that too.
Really?
Well,
yeah, it's
the universe itself, the MCU universe. This year is its 10th year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird too. And me and Eric were talking today when we were talking about this stuff, and we were trying to figure out because we're gonna have a top 5 movies at the end. And I was actually telling him that I thought it was like 15 years, and then we looked it up and it's 10. But still, like you said, it seems like Captain America is so long ago. It's just crazy.
Whereas the DCEU literally feels like 15 years already.
Yeah.
14 years too long.
But yeah, it came out over in America because that's how every website in the world works. Domestic is American. Even even if you Google,
that's how everything works. I thought
that's the way things work, right?
It is.
I mean, we're talking about Captain America here. It has to be the
Captain
American.
America.
That's right.
So yeah, domestically it made 176 million, which these days isn't amazing, but those days wasn't to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Worldwide, it made 370 million, which on a budget of of 140 million isn't bad.
No, it's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
I'd agree with that. And really, the problem is you are pushing a character with, America in its name. You're going to kind of, you might have some problems with that, but it's
what do like the solo movies do currently? Like, wouldn't that kind of be a failure to them now, or no?
To them now, that's a huge
that'd
failure.
Be a disaster.
Nowadays, they're upset if they don't break $1 billion.
Yeah, I was going to say, really, it's billions now. It's crazy.
Every movie has to make $1 billion, or it's an absolute failure for them, basically.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that. But,
it is crazy.
But that's just the way it is now. But then again, bearing in mind these movies now cost like what, $400 million to make, $300 million.
That's the problem too. Yeah, that's why. It's like when you see that a movie's made, $500 million, and you think, oh, that's a hit. Next thing you know, it's like it's only $20 million above the budget. That's ridiculous. It's nonsense. But
it's just how it works, man. It's just how it works.
I know.
So, before we get into the plot, after we've done a little bit of figures, we like to go around the table And sort of, if you can remember 2011, because I know it was a long time ago, what were your thoughts and feelings if you went to the cinema or the first time you saw Captain America? When you were first getting to see this movie, how did we all feel about it? We'll start with Chris.
Yeah, as I said in the last episode with Thor, I didn't see this in the cinema. I had no interest in this movie at all until after I'd seen Avengers Assemble. I think the movie's great.
Mm-hmm.
It was a massive, massive surprise. I was expecting to go in, watch the movie and think, oh, does a saluting, flag-waving wank.
Does American shit.
Yeah. But no,
no offense, lads.
Yeah, no offense. no offense, Americans. But no, it's a really enjoyable movie. Chris Evans is fantastic. Hugo Weaving is just an amazing villain in it. And yeah, shut up.
I disagree, but
Shut up.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a massive surprise how much I enjoyed it.
okay. And over to Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen all the Marvel movies in theaters. I've always been more of a Marvel guy than DC. I mean, it's changed a little bit due to comic books over time, gone back and forth. But I was excited for it. Captain America's never been a favorite of mine, but and I was a little aggravated they picked the Human Torch to be Captain America at first. But I got over that all pretty quick, and once I saw the movie. I ended up really liking it, and it's still up there, and I would say probably my top 5 in as far as Marvel movies go.
Nice.
Ow.
Jimmy?
Well, I didn't see it in the theater, and it's weird. When I did see it, I'm pretty much a combo of Chris and Brandon. I did not expect anything from it. I actually won it. I rented it. I got it and watched it at home, and I loved it. I really did. I loved it. Though, like Brandon, right away I thought, why do they have the Human Torch as the deal? And I wasn't that into Chris Evans as Captain America. And then, obviously, if you've seen the movie, it starts off with little Chris Evans, little scrawny Chris Evans, and I really thought like, boy, this isn't going to be great. Though I liked the story, but Chris Evans threw me off at first. But also, telling you, yes, Hugo Weaving, I actually really like. Though it's, he kind of plays the same character in everything he is, if you ask me. And all I kept thinking of is Agent Smith from The Matrix. So seeing him there, until he turns into the Red Skull. But actually, like Chris, I actually was very blown away with how much I enjoyed it. I never thought that I was going to enjoy it. And up until then, I would have said that I was a Captain America fan, but it was such a casual fandom. I knew nothing really about Captain America except that he was on a comic cover punching Hitler in the and they have that scene. And what I think is a very clever way to pull it out there in the movie, and it just made me smile. And I'll tell you, it's my second favorite. I'll reveal that, like Brandon said, it's my second favorite Marvel movie because I love origin stories, number one. And if this movie, like after the origin story, and then once you get, Red Skull and things like that, I'm telling you, I liked it less then. I love the beginning, especially when they're training and all that. I really loved it. And this is the movie that actually made me any bit interested in any news that I had about the Marvel Universe. And this movie's the only reason I ever watched the Avengers. I went to see it in the theater because of this movie. And also it looked good. It looked great. But I probably would have just sat at home and waited for that to come out, home video as well. But I actually went and saw the Avengers in the theater because of this movie, because I like Captain America so much. But yeah, that's about it. But I loved it.
Yeah, this was probably, just to chime in real quick, like my favorite, even out of all the current movies, besides possibly Thanos coming up, like my favorite villain that they did. Because I feel like a lot of them are just kind of throwaway guys, and the Red Skull you don't really treat as a throwaway guy.
No.
And I'm just a little sad he's never come back. You know what I'm saying? Like Loki's in every damn movie, and I'd like it to be Red Skull once or twice.
There's still time. There's still time.
There is.
But did Hugo Weaving? He wasn't too pleased with it
didn't
afterwards, was he? He didn't like the experience. Yeah,
Pissy.
I know. The end of the
But
day.
yeah, I actually read today when I was getting ready that Chris Evans turned down the role like 4 times.
Yeah,
and
that was in the trivia. Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. convinced him because he said, listen, because Chris Evans actually didn't want the fame of being in a superhero movie. And Robert Downey Jr. said, you're being silly and basically do this, and then it gets you freedom to do other shit that you want to do. But yeah, I couldn't imagine anybody else as Captain America.
The sheer irony of that being that Chris Evans has done like 9 other superhero movies.
I know. Well, now he realizes that's how you get paid. And, that's what he does then. And again, it's funny because he didn't want to do this, but yet he was, Johnny Storm and just an asshole in that movie. But yeah, it's like they don't bring that up in this trivia. I'm reading that basically he was probably like, no, I don't want to be in another goddamn, failure. So, but yeah, this was not, and like you said, it wasn't like this was a through the roof success either. No. It's crazy. How about you, Kev? I'm not going to take up more.
I mean, me personally, I went to see Thor. Thor was the first one that I saw in the cinema. I was really looking forward to seeing Thor, and after seeing that movie, I was completely sold on the MCU. I was like, you know what? I'd seen Iron Man and I'd seen Hulk and like when they were coming out on DVD and stuff, but this was Thor was the first one I saw in the cinema. I was like, right, I want to see all these movies in the cinema, And then I went to see Captain America. Loved Captain America. I thought it was great. I kind of love it a little bit more now than I did when I first watched it. Like the subsequent times I've watched it since then, I do love it a lot more now. I've got a bit more of an appreciation for it because. Although they did well with Iron Man and everything, if Captain America, as we've said before, if Iron Man had failed, there would have been no MCU. If Captain America had failed, I think the Avengers probably would have been dead in the water.
I liked that. I loved Captain America. When I saw Thor, it actually surprised me more than I think any movie that I've ever seen that I really thought it was going to stink. I mean, I'm telling you, I went into watching that of like, oh, this is going to suck. And then I watched it, and I don't know, when I was done, and I even talked about this with Eric at work today, where I can't even tell you that I can really grasp why I really loved Thor, but I did. And it's like almost like it was great besides itself. Right? It shouldn't have been as fun and great as it was, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Part of that is that it's just so different. Like while it's still a Marvel MCU movie and it is following the Marvel MCU format, it's just so different for me. It feels different, it looks different, and it tastes different. So that's why I loved Thor.
Yeah, I didn't like it. But we're not here to talk about that because I'm telling you, I hated the Iron Man movies. I don't know that. Oh, I hate them. I can't stand them. It goes with the whole deal that I swear to God, if Robert Downey Jr. was right here, I'd slap him right in the face. I can't stand him. I can't even stand looking at him. I hate him. He's one of my least favorite people in this entire planet. And I have no real reason except my wife is infatuated with him. That's the only I'm jealous of him. But I'm telling you, I see him and I grind my teeth. And because of that, but yet I love him in the Avengers movies. But in the actual individual movies, I've never seen Iron Man 2 to this day. I've watched Iron Man 3 and actually like that as a fun movie. But yeah, I've never watched Iron Man 2 because I can't stand Robert Downey Jr. I'm the only one on the entire planet
but
that hates him.
You're missing Mickey Rourke's awesome Russian accent.
Yeah, really. I'm sure. I like Mickey Rooney. I'm telling you, I also have. It's weird if this ever makes sense to anybody. I don't like Robert Downey Jr. because I like Christian Slater. It doesn't make sense, but Christian Slater and Robert Downey Jr. both got in trouble at the same time. Robert Downey Jr. is king of the goddamn planet, and Christian Slater is now he's coming back, but he's
in Mr. Robot.
Yeah, he's in Mr. Robot. That's it, though. Before he was in Alone in the Dark. He was in shit movies because nobody wanted him. I'm a Christian Slater fan.
They could have pretty much had the same career, couldn't they?
Yeah.
My buddy loves that one movie, Gleaming the Cube, he's in.
I love Gleaming the Cube. That's a great movie, and I'm telling you, it was great in Young Guns, too. But yeah, that has nothing to do with this. Again,
that has got nothing to do with this, so let's get on.
No, I got to take Adderall. We'll take a break. I'll take some Adderall. I'll be right on track then.
Let's get on to the plot proper.
Yes.
So we're going to start talking about Captain America, the first Avenger.
Rogers, Steven. Just give me a chance. Sorry, son. I'm saving your life.
General Patton has said that wars are fought with weapons, but they are won by men.
You just don't know when to give up, do you?
I could do this all day.
Our goal is to create the greatest army in history.
I should be going with you. Look, I know you don't think I can do this.
This isn't a back alley, Steve. It's war.
But every army begins with one man.
5 tries in 5 different cities. I can offer you a chance.
He will be the first in a new breed of super soldiers.
Why me?
Because the weak men knows the value of strength, knows the value of power.
That wasn't so bad.
That was penicillin.
We are going to win this war because we have the best men.
Now, Mr. Stark.
So we start in the sort of like the present day, which is like when the movie kicks off. I'm assuming it's S.H.I.E.L.D. have found like a downed aircraft in the Antarctic type thing, and inside is the iconic Captain America shield. It's pretty badass opening.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. It gets me all fired up.
I actually kind of completely forgot about that scene. When remembering this movie, I just immediately assume that it cuts to that. Is it like Norway scene where with the Red Skull comes into that place? I always kind of just thought it started there, but no, there's like this awesome like shield finding the shield type thing.
Yeah. I'm telling you, when they're cutting in the ice with that ice cutter laser, it's great. It's top-notch effects. It's cool as hell when they go in, and like you said, they get there and they go into the plane, and they go, and you're kind of there, like, what's going on? And when they see the shield, like when we see it as well, to me, that's such a great opening because it just gets you fired up to see, like, what the hell happened. What happened? We're here to see a Captain America movie, and they go into this crash goddamn huge fortress of an airplane and find his shield. So yeah, I was fired up to see how that happened and why and what. I was in.
And then we cut to Norway, 1942. We're about to meet the Red Skull, but quickly just want to drop in a little thing here is that what we discovered when watching Thor, which we didn't realize the first time round, is that this is the same city or place as the flashback in Thor. We know when they're fighting the frost giants and stuff. Not the frost giants. It's in Thor.
You mean the Viking village?
The Viking village. Yeah, that is the same village from Thor that they are now at to find the Tesseract. And I bring this scene up because one of Chris's favourite Harry Potter actors is in this scene. Chris is a big Harry Potter fan, by the way.
Yeah.
Harry Potter actors.
You are a massive Harry Potter fan.
Okay.
Doctor and Doctor Who. If I'm not, I love him. I think that he's a great actor. Yeah.
Yeah, he did play the Doctor in Doctor Who. We're not going to talk about that. You love him in Harry Potter.
We're talking about Marvel.
Hugo Weaving turns up. He's looking for the Tesseract. This is the first time we meet him. I'm going to just say it now before we really get into the movie. You guys are kind of gushing over Hugo Weaving in this movie. I kind of I don't buy him in this film.
Why?
I don't really know what it is. Like, I think you kind of get the feel, for me personally, I got the feeling that Hugo Weaving wanted to be in a big franchise sort of movie and all that. But then when you get on set, and maybe it's just the stories that have come out since about how his experience was, I don't buy him.
It seems like he was just going through the motions.
A little bit, because it's just Hugo Weaving doing what Hugo Weaving does.
I'm right with you. I really do. But in this, it seems as if he's playing the standard Hugo Weaving. Like, he is Agent Smith in this to me, and it is a little off. But again, if you want to look at it as he's this, badass and he knows it, it kind of comes off as that as well.
A little bit.
See, I can't stand the person I just can't stand for no reason in this movie is Dum Dum Dugan because I hate the actor. I'm fine with Hugo, but Dum Dum Dugan, I can't stand the guy that plays Dum Dum Dugan. I don't know why. I have no reason for it. I just don't like his face, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm telling you,
if you don't like
Hugo,
face.
You punch it.
Is it because he punched Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek First Contact?
No, because I'm not a Star Trek fan. I can't pinpoint the reason for it. He just bugs me.
Yeah, and Hugo, though, like you said, I can go with the whole deal because I think Hugo does a decent Red Skull. The problem with me is when he's just himself before you reveal of who he is a little kind of wooden. And it really, that first scene especially, seems like he is not that into it. It's like
he just kind of turns up and he just delivers some lines and then fucks off.
You have to give him a minute, though.
No, you don't.
No, that's not how movies work.
This is your big bad. This is your big bad of the movie. He's supposed to come in and be a badass from the outset.
No, maybe, but you've got to give him time to build. You don't just come in and go, I'm the big bad. You've got to give him time to build.
Why not?
Onto something. I really do think it's supposed to be kind of a switcheroo here, where you get this guy. Yeah, he's kind of. It reminds me a lot of immediately. I'm like, oh, this is like some guy. Obviously, he looks a Nazi. Oh my God, it's like guys in Indiana Jones or something like that. And maybe you're supposed to think of him as, oh, he's not a threat. Look at this asshole. But then later he does get bad, and it's better than that. But yeah, the first scene, I'm still with you, Kev. I think that the first scene is a little off. And actually, watching it again, I didn't even enjoy this first scene. And actually, I was like, let's get on with it. I didn't really just kind of seem like you have to have the setup there. But I just wanted to get on with seeing Captain America because he's a sexy fella, but not right away. But
well, that is literally the next part, is that we are introduced to skinny ass Stephen Rogers. This is fucking creepy watching
Isn't
this
it
film.
Creepy? Yeah,
it is.
It is though.
It's the worst special effect. I hate when they do it in all movies.
Yeah, I don't mind the special effect as much. It just throws me off because you know what he is going to look like, and it's like they really want to show you like he is so small and skinny and scrawny. His neck and his arms, these little thin arms stuff. It really threw me off. Even again, I'm like, oh my God. And Eric actually, he says that when he watches it, he has to look, he hates these skinny, Chris Evans. He can't deal with it. He really doesn't want to deal with it.
It does look freaky as shit.
There is a moment, jumping ahead a little, but there's a moment where we sat in the car next to Hayley Atwell.
Yeah.
And Hayley Atwell looks huge.
Yeah, she's humongous.
Yeah.
It's like Wonder Woman. It's like some Amazon next to him. But yeah, again, it's a really good setup to me of how it goes. But if you're going to kind of be a cynic about it, boy, they really go over the top with it. I mean, he is the smallest guy in New York, but yet he's got to fight every single person in New York to prove something to himself. So it is a little over the top. It works out how it ends up. But
well, my main note that I had for this opening, sort of like when we get to meet Chris Evans and we see him sort of like going to the cinemas and all that. Now this is a big pet peeve of mine, is that he is a scrawny little shit. And I would love to kick the shit out of anybody who shouts at the cinema screen. But but that guy was clearly going to paste them.
Yeah, oh yeah. He was done.
I don't like people who shout in the cinema, but I'm not going to take on fucking John Cena if he sat behind me.
I would have just left. I would have went to the next showing because I'm with you. I can't stand people who even talk at the movies. But yet, even if I was there at a movie and it was scrawny Chris Evans in front of me being an asshole, I don't think because then when you start saying stuff, now you got a goddamn fight breaks out, and then everybody has a bad time.
So now
I
you're
probably
the
would
asshole.
just, yeah, that's what I'm saying, and I always end up being the asshole in anything in life. So why even do that? I would probably just be like, oh, you know what, and go. And once the movie would start, the guy probably would have shut up. I mean, he just didn't want to see the wartime. It was the wartime reel, right, where they're showing the news of the world and showing stuff like that. Now, again, how much of an asshole is that guy? I mean, he's there. Probably half of the people he knows are off at war dying, and the guy's pissed off because he wants the movie to start. He's a real asshole. But again, and you see a lot of the people in the theater are all old people. They're all shaking their head at the guy anyway. Chris Evans should have just sat back. He's a skinny fella, and just wait. The guy would have shut up. And yeah,
he needs to hang out with some bigger friends.
Yeah, well, that's the deal because then Bucky does show up. Thank God. But yeah, go on, Chris.
But before Bucky shows up, we get our first little Easter egg of Captain America holding a shield, the little dustbin lid.
Yeah, I never noticed that.
Did you never notice that?
Yeah.
Not as on the nose as the taxi door, but
No, the
Oh, no,
taxi
it's not.
doors
Yeah,
are
yeah.
really in there. But yeah, he does pick that up, and the guy just smushes him. He just beats the crap out of him. But yeah, and again, it's one of, obviously it sets up the whole deal, and I love the scene just because you do have that line, like, you know, hey, you don't know when to give up, and, you know, when are you going to stop? I can do this all day, which comes back later when when he's fighting Red Skull and things like that. So I did like that as a setup for what's going to come.
And James Buchanan Bucky Barnes comes to the rescue. Sebastian Stan, the man we will come to know and love, who pretty much, for me, eventually becomes one of the best characters in the MCU.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I love him, not as much as Captain America loves him. They are very close.
They've got a very homoerotic love. They do.
It gets to the point though. Actually, through these and like in Winter Soldier and even Civil War, where you're like, Jesus, Captain, you got to back off a little. I know it's your best friend and all, but really, he is going to take on the entire world just for Bucky. It gets a little over the top to me, but it's great. You see,
that's kind of how
You would do the same for Eric.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I feel about you, Chris. I would take on the world for you.
Just take on the world. That's what you're his Bucky. You're his little. Is what he just said. But yeah,
but the thing is, we're Brits and we're allowed to be like that. You guys, well, you're American.
No, that's the thing you see in this movie. When we're Americans, you got to stand up and then fight. It's nice.
A little bit later than everybody else.
Yeah, always late, always late.
Always late, but yes, I was going to make the joke, but I was going to say, like, this is obviously Captain America came out. We were waiting for the movie Captain Britain, which I said to you before we started recording, and I imagine that movie would probably end with Captain Britain in real big trouble, Captain America coming and saving his ass. But that's just me. It's only me, and I don't even know what Captain Scotland would be involved with.
No,
we're never getting
just drunk in the corner.
Yeah, he's just drunk there. He's just there. He's supposed to be the designated driver, but he's drunk and passed out in the front seat. So there you go.
That also sounds like Buffalo.
Yeah, that's true too. That's what we get, Captain Buffalo. Who knows what that guy is. But yeah, I actually the whole scene with Bucky saving with Steve, I love. But yeah, I'm telling you, I love the beginning of this movie, the stuff with and like I said, skinny Steve throws me off. But just the setup of him and trying to get to war and all these things, I really do love the whole beginning of the movie. I love it.
Well, that is pretty much the opening of the movie. Is like it kind of goes along, and they end up at the Stark Expo, olden day Stark Expo, with a snazzy looking Tony Stark's dad, Dominic Cooper.
Oh yeah,
who again completely forgot Dominic Cooper was in this.
I remember he was in it. There's someone who one of is it Bucky or Steve's date is someone, I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, it's Clara
from Guardians. There's somebody
it's actually
in Guardians too.
Bucky's date is Clara from Doctor Who.
Yes, that's what it is.
I know what you're talking about, Brandon. There's like there's a montage scene, and Peter Quill's mum is in the montage scene.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same actress.
Huh. Yeah, and she makes out with Steve at some point in this movie, I think.
Oh yeah.
And in this little roundabout, these scenes is when we first get to meet the Tooch. Stanley Tucci comes into this movie, sporting an amazing German accent, which, according to some of the trivia, is the only reason he took the role.
Okay.
Really?
Because he wanted to talk German.
Just to be able to show off his accent.
He's
awesome.
I've got some German chops. That was crap. That was terrible. Sorry.
I was just going to try my, mine would have been worse. So
we've lost every German fan we had.
Yes. Big in Germany, but no, I actually like it, and I love the accent, especially when he goes in, and when he does go, you have that whole cool thing where even Bucky told Steve ahead of time, like you can't keep trying to fake your way into the army. They're going to come and get you. You could be arrested, and that's when Stanley Tucci comes. But I love when he's like, Steve goes like, "Where are you from?" Brooklyn. That's pretty good. I love that. I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, I loved him a lot in this movie.
We get a cheeky little scene that I'm going to gloss over, where we first get to meet Toby Jones, interacting with Hugo Weaving, testing out the Tesseract, but that's not really anything happens in there. And then we kind of go to Steve is doing some soldier training, and he ain't as big as the rest of those boys, but he damn sure he's got some heart.
Well, of course he does.
And how awesome is Tommy Lee Jones in these scenes?
Tommy Lee Jones
He's the best.
awesome.
He's the best.
It's Tommy Lee Jones.
I feel like he's playing the detective in The Fugitive in this movie a little bit.
Yes, he is a little. But I like what I like about him the most is he's there. He's a hard ass. He wants no parts of this. He's still a good guy. Kind of is a jerk at points, but he isn't. He's a guy who's and he plays it well. He plays it so well.
So who here around the table? Everyone, honestly, who here would have thought about the flagpole technique?
Oh, absolutely not. Would have gone out. I'll just run. It's all right.
I am actually sitting here thinking about you running, and that's just not happening.
Well, to be fair, I would have died before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been just completely done. But yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. I would just kept running. And the funny thing is, he's not that far behind at that point. He is.
He's not, is he?
It's like the mic drop deal when he gets that. He basically just hands it and gets in that Jeep. And I kept thinking, like, every one of those guys is going to beat the shit out of you tonight when you go to bed. They are going to come and beat the crap out of you.
Going to load up the pillowcase with bars of soap.
The pillowcase. They are going to do that, and they're going to beat the crap out of him because he makes them look like complete and utter fools.
He is a bit of a cocky cock, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
So, next question. Who here, around the table again, being honest, would have jumped on the hand grenade?
Oh, no.
No.
I
would have. My instinct would be to turn and run the other way, not towards the grenade.
I wouldn't have even known what was going on. He would have thrown that grenade. I just would have been standing there. Like, where's everything?
He would have been stood going, what?
There's no Captain Americas at this table, then, is there?
No. Captain Scott.
Yeah. No, my history with hand grenades just is solely tied to Call of Duty, and I'm horrible with them in that game as well. So
I like that scene. Obviously, it's the big scene that even convinces Tommy Lee Jones. So I hate the way that Chris Evans plays it. I hate that where he's like hugging the grenade and trying to go. It looks so awkward to me of how he's doing it. I don't know if that was a problem because of how they were CGIing him into skinny Steve, but I don't know why. It really threw me off. Like, what is he doing? He looks.
Sometimes I feel like I know the body's always there, but I feel like it's just a floating head sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, it's a huge scene. That is. But no, there's no way I would have done that.
That convinces Tommy Lee Jones. We get a little origins of the Red Skull sort of montage going on to tell us all about who he is. That's all pretty standard good stuff. The only thing I really had there is that this is what I was talking about before, saying that Hugo Weaving he's very indifferent to this movie, and he's got no interest in reprising his role as Red Skull.
Fuck him. You don't need him back. Get someone else in there.
You don't need his face anyway. Just paint him red, and you won't even know.
The mask. Get somebody who talks like him. I'm sure that you could just do an impersonation of him. It'd be easy. He's a very, easily impersonated fella, though I won't do that. But, yeah.
No, I won't do that.
No, I'm telling you, fuck him. And the person that they get, pay him 7 times the amount that they paid Hugo just to get him pissed. Because, that's a dick move. It really is, because he's good in the movie. I told you, I thought he was wooden at the beginning. Once he becomes Red Skull, I think he's great. And, the guy can't sit there. You want to think, does he say why he doesn't like it? Is it like, oh, it's goofy and, oh, it's a superhero movie? Because the guy was in The Matrix and Lord of the Rings. It's not like this guy has been in, I don't know, Macbeth every step of the way.
Yeah, he's not Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
The only thing it has here is that it was due to the difficulty of the makeup process involved.
Okay, so he didn't want to go through that. Oh, woe is me.
Well,
I would put on the makeup. Make up me. I'll get his money. Jesus Christ, the people with their complaints.
I know. It's a tricky one, that one. From there, we go from Skinny Steve gets in the transformation booth and becomes Chris Evans with the abs. Yep. And he's got some damn fine abs in that scene.
He does.
Impressive. Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you, when they open up that thing and Peggy's, rubbing his chest and thing, I'm right with it. Hey.
So what do we think of this whole this whole little scene, the set piece when they go in for the transformation and everything that's going on, because it is pretty fucking, like, when you go back and watch it now, it's like, shit, they did a fucking great job there.
Yeah.
He goes in looking like a little runt, and he comes out
yeah.
looking like He-Man, you know? It's
So funny, too, is they definitely, the only thing is, when they open it, they're goddamn lucky he didn't get any bigger. Because he is the exact shape of that thing. Like, they open it up, but it looks great. And the whole thing that, it's funny, for some reason, it never really stuck in my mind how much taller he grew. Obviously, he's big. But yeah, watching it again, I was like, why didn't I remember that the guy grew like, 7 inches? Because when he comes out, he's huge. And then especially later when he sees Bucky again, it's like one of those how much bigger and taller he is. But yeah, they do a great job. The other thing that I want to say is when I watched it again, I love the pseudo science, the stark science and the knobs and bells and whistles that they have. I think they did a great job doing that. It's almost like a steampunk kind of deal, and I love it. I think it looks so cool. And you have the big moment is where they think that they're going to have to stop because Steve's screaming, and then no, keep going, and I want to do this, and it's awesome. When they open it up, I was all fired up, and I think basically was a PSA to do steroids, and I want to use those. I'm telling you, it makes me think that and that's the thing. If you want to complain about Captain America, it's that he kind of is the steroid using superhero. But I love it. I think it's great.
He has to use roids to get his powers.
Yeah. That's what he's. I know that. I doubt you'll get this, but he is the Brady Anderson of superheroes. And
right.
That is my American. That's a
or the Rocky, a more movie-ish take. They didn't drug test in Rocky's boxing era.
No.
So from here, we have a sneaky German has made his way into the transformation booth and steals some of the super serum or whatever it's being called.
Richard Armitage.
Yes.
Richard Armitage.
Yes.
Is that who that was?
Yeah.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah. Looks a lot like Clark Kent in the scene. He really does.
He's like, he's not having my thunder. So we get another on-the-nose SHIELD reference with the taxi door, which I think is incredible. I love it.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a great little scene. And from there, we're pretty much Captain America, as all Americans would do with a good thing, they turn him into a propaganda tool.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Steve is chasing. First off, when he first starts running, the guy, and he isn't used to being so strong and fast. And I love that when he turns that corner and goes into that dress shop, he crashes him because he's not used to being as strong. But I think that one of my favorite scenes is when the Hydra agent throws that kid in the water. And you expect that in every other movie he would dive in to save him. The kid's like, I know how to swim. Let's go get him. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that's a good touch.
That. I thought it was so good the way they did that. But yeah, that's just an aside. But the thing that got me is that the guy waited. Why did he wait until, I guess he wanted to see if the super serum worked so he could report back to Red Skull, possibly. But it seems like if he would have hit that explosion before Steve went, there would have been more of the serum for him to steal. He could have grabbed that. It was just weird to wait that long for that guy. But, then I guess...
Yeah, Hydra's never been the smartest set of villains ever.
It's one of those because movies.
Yeah, just because. So we get like a little sort of montage of him rallying the troops together. We've got a couple of little trivia things. And one of them is you get the Hitler comic book here with Captain America punching him. That appears in this little montage. You get Laura Haddock, as we were talking before, from Guardians of the Galaxy, played Peter Quill's mum. She turns up in this little montage, and then it breaks for a second, and holy shit, we have got a little cameo from somebody who will be appearing in one of these Road to Infinity War episodes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. In the movie, on the 51-minute mark, we're not allowed to say who it is yet, although I think we did like a couple of episodes ago. But he's going to be joining us to talk about one of these Marvel movies, and he's got a little cameo, so that's pretty cool. Now, I'm looking forward to doing that, but it's in the scene where, when he's trying to rally the troops and they're all like, bring back the girls!
Yeah. I do like that.
Yeah.
Who wants to see me suck Hitler on the nose?
You were going to say suck nipples.
I did say
I thought that was going somewhere bad myself. I'm like, whoa.
Who wants to see Captain America suck nipples?
Fuck yourself.
And with that, I love the
That's
idea.
why, all right? Don't question me.
Yes, I love the idea. This whole propaganda deal. To me, again, watching it again, I think it's so well done. The point where they want to throw this Captain America history in, but there's a lot of goofy stuff. So you can't get that goofy in this. So it's all the part of the propaganda. You see him punching Hitler, which he says later, I've knocked out Hitler over 50 times. But also in this scene where he does go and hey, we want the girls there, sweetie pants, with your boots and stuff like that. I really like the way Chris Evans plays this up, because it is the time where at that point, Captain America, he's kind of a little high on himself. He's getting confidence. He's get the war bonds and going, and he thinks that he is like, shit doesn't stink to me. When he goes there and actually goes and they like, hey, sweetheart, get off the stage, we want the girls and whatever, that's one of the biggest points where he's like, you know what, I am a goof. I'm this super soldier here, and I'm just selling war bonds, which is fine and dandy, but I want to be a hero. These guys are going out and going through all the shit, and here I am prancing around with, you really, and I think Chris Evans plays it well. And then they really do force it a little more, because then he's doodling with the monkey, oh, you're just a trained monkey going out there and stuff like that. But I really like that whole deal where you do see where he's kind of almost embarrassed of what he's doing and he wants to do more.
Which is when we find out that Bucky and his the Howling Commandos have been caught behind enemy lines, and it's time for Captain America to become Captain America.
Bit of a pretentious name.
What? Captain America?
Howling Commandos.
All right. Howling Commandos, how?
Just, if you're in a unit and they go, well, so we'll give ourselves a nickname. Yeah, we'll call ourselves the Howling Commandos. Really? Seriously?
I don't even know where you get that from. You know what I mean? Like, the Howling Commandos.
It sounds badass.
Doesn't that mean you're screaming like a little girl if you're howling?
No, you're howling like a commando?
Well, maybe they're making the other team howl, so that's why.
I just think they're werewolves. That's what I think. They're a bunch of werewolves out there.
If I was like in a German group, like a group of soldiers that were all German, and then I heard that another group was coming at me called the Howling Commandos, I'd be off.
No, you'd be
off. It would throw you off.
I would be gone.
You wouldn't know what it was.
Yes.
I'd be like, fuck's that shit.
If I was in war and I heard that the other team was called, the Prancing Johnsons, they would not take me a name for me to run. I'd be the worst. I'm telling you. We talked about the grenade earlier. If somebody starts shooting bullets at me, I'm out. I'm telling you, Captain America or nothing. I'm out. You could call me a Howling Commando. I'm about facing and running. That's all I would do.
So the one thing I want, this rescue mission is pretty fucking cool.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a really good action sequence.
Yeah.
But the one thing that really struck me was the zooming in capabilities of CCTV in 1943.
Yeah, really.
It's
the HD quality.
It's impressive.
It's like it's not just CCTV, it's Tony Howard Stark CCTV.
That's right. It is crazy. Like you said, it really is crazy.
Let it not be said, German efficiency, okay? That's what it's all about.
True.
Did they even have CCTV in the 40s? This is bollocks.
They clearly did.
Obviously they did. This is actually, all of this is ripped straight from the pages of history, right?
Yeah, that's
everything in this movie. I think it's all true. So yeah, I think they did, and the zooming in quality was great. I agree.
But this whole section, this whole rescue mission section, is really fucking good. I like.
Yeah, this is like where the movie really hits high gear too.
Yeah, definitely. And this is also the section where we find out that Bucky isn't dead. We get the Red Skull reveal. When he pulls the face off, it is a pretty good reveal.
That is a great reveal. I hate when Steve punches him and then he has that little red under the eye. It makes me sick. It really threw me off. And then, luckily, though, and it's funny, when he pulls the mask off, then I'm like, okay, you look better now.
So is that Hugo under in a Hugo mask with Red Skull makeup over his real face?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying there?
That's putting a lot of effort into your craft there. I'm gonna unveil my fake face with my real face.
My real face, and my fake face. That would be good.
You know what? I hope that was the case.
Yes.
I now want that to be the case.
Maybe that's why I hated the makeup process.
Maybe it's 3-ply. It's a triple. That's sense.
And we end this little action sequence with the sort of did Steve Rogers get out? Of course he fucking did.
It's his movie.
But whatever. A little bit of trivia for you here, and this one did make me laugh. It's one of these things that gets translated when it goes to like another country, and they change words a little bit because they don't quite like it. So it's like in the tank when Jones tells Duggan that he studied 3 semesters German, and then switched to French because the girls were much prettier. Well, in the German version of the movie, he says he studied mechanical engineering, but not for long because the girls were so ugly.
Wow.
Really? Wow. Language, but you insult the ladies. Basically.
because the Germans
And mechanical engineers.
The Germans don't hold a grudge.
No, never.
I read it and I was like, that is absolutely fantastic.
Were the Americans the bad guys in Germany?
I would hope so. They just get Marvel to like film a whole nother movie. It just roles reversed.
That'd be cool. I would watch that.
Captain Germany.
They're not really allowed to have movies with Nazis in Germany, correct? That is kind of, did they change? Because there's obviously Hitler is in there when he's a character himself. Even when the guys come, which is coming up, when they come to talk to Red Skull and tell him that his nonsense is over, they are clearly Nazis, right? I mistaken. Maybe they're allowed to. For some reason, I thought that they would not allow any movies in Germany that actually had Nazis in the movies. But again, I might be.
They can have, like, say, Downfall, for example. Yeah. They can make movies about Nazis, but the swastika is illegal in Germany still.
Wow.
Like, if, like, in movies it's fine because it's a movie, but you're not allowed to have a swastika flag in your window or anything. It's illegal.
Oh, well, that stands to reason.
You can do it in America, apparently, but
not
in Germany.
That's allowed here.
You can do fucking anything in America. You can elect Trump. So yeah, we get the medal.
Dancing Mike, do not listen to this podcast.
So we get the a cheeky little medal ceremony, and I bring this one up because we get our Stan Lee cameo, and sat right next to Stan Lee is Reb Brown, who originally played Cap in the '79 made-for-TV movies.
I did not know that.
Neither did I. It was part of the trivia. Don't think I spotted him. I didn't.
But you weren't sat there going, "Oh, that's Reb Brown."
Not at all. No. I could have passed that off though, couldn't I?
You could have.
And then we get a fantastic little getting the team together in a bar scene. Patty Jenkins did it better.
Because you have that, and they basically like, okay, Steve, you're going to get a team there. I have my own guys. I'm like, don't go get those. First off, they got captured. The first bit, they already failed once. You already had to bail their asses out. Don't get them, but obviously you're going to get, because it's all the name, the Howling Commandos. He's with you, Ken. He likes the name, so he's going to go grab them. A name only,
so
because really they haven't done anything. It is.
It's like, what sounds better, Captain America and the Howling Commandos, or Captain America and some random soldiers?
The second one?
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
We have an absolutely disgusting waste of Natalie Dormer in a little scene here.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you have Natalie Dormer in your movie and not keep her in your movie?
Well, she wasn't known yet.
Oh, but come on, that face and that body, you've got that woman in your film.
Yeah.
Just keep her around.
He gets to kiss her, though.
He does, and Peggy's not happy.
No, she's not.
Peggy's pissed. She's pissed, but I don't know. I think I would have stayed kissing. He was,
You like, unless you're taking her place, I'm going to mind my business right over here.
Get in line, make it a contest or something going on. And I do love this scene because that's when obviously he gets his shield. He sees the vibranium and gets a shield, and Peggy tries it out by shooting him.
That is a cool little moment. I do love that.
Oh, it's awesome.
She's one sassy bitch. It has to be said.
Oh, she is.
But let's, if you looked like skinny Steve Rogers all your life, and then you looked like that, you would fuck everything.
Oh yeah,
you take advantage of.
Yeah, of course
that's what you would do. And that's the thing you have. Well, and at that point, the running joke is he thinks that Peggy and Stark are fondueing together. So he's going to say, you go fondue on your own. This woman wants me. And what other guy? He has never had this happen to him in his entire life. He needs to
Only
go on.
Only woman that's ever talked to him is his mother.
Yeah, that's it. Now he's got groupies. And go with it.
Groupies.
He needs to have a kind of a lost weekend where he at least gets it.
That's the montage we need.
Yeah, that is.
Just Steve Rogers fucking everything, then a moment in hospital where he's got STDs.
If I'm Captain America at this point, they could hand me all the shirts they want. I'm not putting one on because he's got abs. I mean, this is and really, I'd probably just sit there and just rub myself. He's never been built like this.
I just
sit there looking.
Then he catches AIDS and then he ends up as skinny as
that's the problem. That's how it ends.
Well, this is World War II, so AIDS wasn't a thing back then.
No,
it's all penicillin.
You don't know. That's what you tie it around. That's what happens with the Tesseract. It cures it all. It actually cures any venereal disease going forward. There you go, Steve. But yeah, I definitely, if I was him, I'd be out and about. I really would. And she is so hot and I like Peggy. It's a little step down in my mind. I'm just saying. It really is.
Oh, you would.
It would be funny later when they show Captain America and he opens up his watch. He's got a picture of her instead of Peggy. Now that would have been good, but that's beside. Yeah, Peggy gets mad. I'm just glad that shield actually works because she has no idea if it will and just starts unloading her gun on him. But she's pissed.
From here, we get some more battle montages with the commandos in action. Which, again, I mean, we said on the Thor episode that the sort of the battle sequences. This was for me personally, the battle sequences in Thor is like a massive step up from anything they'd done before. Now, this movie just hammers that home with just fantastic war battle sequences.
Yeah.
And I love all this, and it leads us up to the train sequence. With Bucky. Oh no.
Yeah, Bucky.
No, Bucky.
Bucky. We hardly knew you.
You know the great thing about this is as well, like, because I don't know if you guys knew that eventually who Bucky would become, but the first time I ever watched this movie, I had no idea that.
No,
Bucky,
neither did I.
I was the same.
And I was legit like in the cinema like, oh shit, they just killed fucking Bucky.
yeah, I love Bucky.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had that because I all the Marvel movies they're covering, I know all the stories they're doing. So, eventually I know the way it kind of shakes out. So, but that's the one thing going into these that I do miss is it's kind of like, the Game of Thrones, you've already read the books and now you're watching the show type thing going on here.
Yeah.
So you know where they're headed.
The only thing that I could say is, they have changed slight things, but the Bucky being Winter Soldier, obviously, I don't think they were going to change. But you kind of could go with that, with like, oh well, maybe they'll switch it up. But yeah, that isn't the case. But yeah, I was upset. I like Bucky.
He's great. He's great.
I love him.
I like him better with the long hair.
Oh yes, definitely. The whole Nickelback look is really working for him.
Oh yeah, yes, it is.
But we do get, before he falls to his untimely demise, we do get a fantastic little bit of foreshadowing when he picks up Captain America's shield.
Yeah,
I like that.
You like that?
It's a nice little scene. Yep. And then from there, we get a fantastic scene of Tommy Lee Jones eating a steak in front of Toby Jones. Because that's an actual scene in this movie.
That steak looks nice.
Yeah.
It looked really good. Yeah, that looked good. It made me laugh.
But come on, that scene is... What the fuck? He's just sitting eating a steak in front of Toby Jones.
It's weird. It's almost like they want everybody to know that Toby's a vegetarian. For some reason, out of nowhere, that seems... And I was... Again, that steak looks good. It reminds me a lot of the steak scene in The Matrix, even, where they're eating steak and talking. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what? And I'm with you, though. I'm like, why did they have this scene? Like, they want everybody to know Toby Jones is a vegetarian. That's a very odd thing. Like, somehow... He's not so bad. he's working on the destruction of the world, but he's a vegetarian, so he likes animals. I don't know what was going on there, like you said, why they had that. It was very
maybe it's just Tommy Lee Jones. He wanted a steak.
Yeah, maybe he's hungry.
Like, I'm not doing the next scene until I got a fucking steak.
Until I got a goddamn steak. Roll the cameras. I'm going to show you something about acting, and then just eats the steak.
It's just something that never ever stuck with me. And when I was watching it back, I'm sitting there going, "What the fuck is with this scene? Why is he sitting there?" And he was damn enjoying that steak.
I was stuck.
Yeah, he was. I'm telling you, I wanted a steak afterwards, but I'm telling you, I like the way he turns the tray around. It's nonsense though, because I'm telling you, nothing else is going on. So you're like looking at it like something big is supposed to be happening. Like, oh my God, he spins that tray around. He starts cutting them. What the fuck? Like, I actually thought because Toby Jones is like, almost thinks that was poison, whatever it would be and Tommy Lee Jones is eating it to show, hey, look, it's just normal. You fucked up. This is a great steak or whatever. but like you said, because they take so much time with this, you really think something else is up. Like, but it isn't. But yeah, it's very up.
It's a great scene though. I just sat there and I thought, why on earth are we here? What is going on here?
It has to be, they were going to be doing that scene with Toby Jones and Tommy Lee Jones. And Tommy Lee Jones was refusing to do it until he got his goddamn steak. And so the director just went, put the fucking steak on the table in there.
Yeah. Yeah, just give him a goddamn steak and let's roll. Here's your lines. Keep doing your lines. Just eat the steak while you're doing it.
Do you think it was Tommy Lee Jones is sitting there going, now, I know I can't out-act Toby Jones. I know he's got more chops than I have, so I'm going to put a fucking steak in my mouth, and then nobody's going to know the difference.
And then he's just going to chew on a steak while he's talking.
So, yeah, we get a bit of a Red Skull speech, which I do like. I do like when Hugo even can deliver a speech.
Yeah.
He can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still not feeling him.
I don't know. At this point, I'm telling you, by this point in the movie, we're getting very near the end.
We're getting there.
And this is actually when, like, up until now, I am loving every second. Maybe it's the steak that threw me off, but at this point, I kind of got the idea, like, okay, I see what's going on. I see the writing on the wall. I see how let's just get to it. And this is where it does kind of dip. And I'm telling you that whole speech, it's fine. But even just the double salutes with Hydra and stuff, it's starting to get a little too over the top for me at this point. Like, now it's becoming a little goofy with how over the top it is compared to earlier, where it was that whole, Captain America bringing himself up from being this little guy and doing this, where it really was really good. And like you said, even the scenes with the Howling Commandos fighting, the way they filmed it in like almost like an old movie reel and stuff like that, I loved it. And I was really, really going. At this point, I kind of was like, okay, we know what's going on. Let's get to it. It kind of did this, especially watching it again.
You have to have a big bad speech.
You have to have.
Yeah. I see the part of the movie I would have trimmed down is when he was selling war bonds. I would have cut that a little bit. I don't mind the back half of the movie. The to get him to the war is a little bit slow for me.
The Nazis show up to tell the Red Skull, hey, listen, you know what? This whole Hydra plan, this whole nonsense, it's going to end. And when that German soldier or officer realizes that map has Berlin with the pin on it, and I love that part. And up until, like, again, now to me, like we were saying about Hugo kind of going over the top, and if we didn't, that to me, there's where like Red Skull, and that's even before Captain America goes and fights him, whatever, but that's where I thought it was great. And it kind of throws me into like recently in the comics where they had Captain America join Hydra. You had that whole freaking controversy, and when people were saying like, oh, that's Captain America becoming a Nazi. To me, this movie actually especially sets up in this, movie universe, that Hydra to me is worse than the Nazis. Like these Hydra's the people who even are the Nazis are against and stuff like that. So I love that part. But yeah, at the end of this, with all the Hydra, it looks like a bunch of stormtroopers. They're given the double. Just thought it was just a little too over the top.
Did you know? Now, a little bit of trivia for you here. We got Red Skull in this movie, but did you know that Baron von Zemo and Baron von Strucker originally appeared as side villains working with the Red Skull, but the writers cut them from the script due to fears they'd be wasted in small roles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That would have been cool. I would have liked that a lot.
Yeah, they apparently they didn't want them like so I'm assuming that they're bigger characters in the comic book because obviously, like I say, I've not really read anything, but because the such iconic characters in the books, they didn't want to waste them in these movies. And of course, as we know, Zemo ended up coming back, and Strucker got a little post-credit scene in Ultron, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've used them, but they didn't want to use them back then.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the Zemo that we got. I wanted the glued mask to his face guy. You know, looks like Cobra Commander. I like that Zemo.
my thing about Zemo in Civil War is I like, even though we got told what his motivations were in the movie, I just didn't get them.
I'm not a huge fan of Civil War either.
No. That's my reason why I'm not a big fan of Civil War, is like you just said, that it was hard to even kind of, wrap my head around all of that and his motivations. Like you said, they told you, but it didn't hit well with me. It didn't really feel earned or whatnot. Yeah. It made me not like that as much.
It still pisses me off that he shoots the other Winter Soldiers.
Yeah.
Because that could have been an epic ass battle.
Yeah, that was the part I was like, all right, now we're getting to it.
I'm with you. Think that it's going to be a Winter Soldier program against, Bucky, and then they shoot him. I actually got furious at that because the setup, and then afterwards you have to sit there. Chris, you have to have been sitting there like, yeah, that would have been a lot better. Like that would have been the movie, and could have even gone to other movies. And oh my God, and he just shoots them.
Could have been, like a Universal Soldier type thing. But
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It would have been awesome. You'd have them out and about, and they have to hunt them down and think, oh, it'd be awesome. And then instead they shoots them. He just shoots them. It's such a waste. Why even bring it up? It was so much nuts.
Well, back to this movie. We have a little Peggy Carter pep talk. And Steve is going to take down the Red Skull, and that's pretty much the run to the end of the movie. Is that we get an amazing sort of epic car chasing the plane scene in my war movie that I possibly didn't need.
It starts okay.
It's very Indiana Jones in that scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. I love it that way, but yeah, it is.
But of course, you have to break the tension so that he can kiss the girl.
Yes.
Just for a second. Let him have his girl.
He got his kiss. He did get his kiss. That was not as exciting as... All right.
And he goes onto the plane to battle with the Red Skull. What happens to the Red Skull again in this scene?
He gets all sucked up into the
Tesseract. The
sphere.
He touches it.
Right.
Yeah, and then it's like a portal opens up and he gets sucked up into it.
Now, one thing that I thought about this when I was rewatching it is that this movie is a great movie, and as we were saying before, when we start getting the when he goes to rescue the Howling Commandos, it kicks into high gear, and it kind of doesn't really slow down that much, apart from maybe when he's doing his speech. This ending is like the big battle ending is a bit of a damp squib.
Yeah. I don't know what squib means. It sucks, right?
Yeah, it's like a wet fart.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little anticlimactic. I feel like they blew their whole wad of fighting leading up to that, and they're like, let's wrap it up here, guys.
Yeah, I agree that the ending really does feel like they had a set amount of time they wanted this movie to last, and a longer fight wouldn't, match up with that, and it's just kind of over. And it's really anticlimactic, especially because, like you said, you kind of sit there and go, what the hell happened to the Red Skull? We had this enemy. We want to see Steve beat the crap out of him. And then he touches the Tesseract and goes into a portal, which at that point kind of don't know what's going on with that anyway. And yeah, it was kind of a downer to me.
Yeah, and he's like, he's got a whole nother army with a whole separate set of weapons different from the Nazis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, they all just vanished too, I guess, because nobody's worried about them anymore.
Yeah,
with
you
Red
have
Skull
that
gone.
whole army when they're sitting there and they show that wide shot after his speech. There's a ton. It did throw me off, but yeah, the ending to me, which is it's a shame, probably the worst part of the movie. It really is to me. It's not the full ending. I actually like the wraparound ending that we get to, but the actual ending of the past with this and the plane, it's okay. You have some emotions with him and Peggy, but just that whole Red Skull and then him just getting sucked into a portal kind of threw me off.
And then Steve banks the plane into the ocean, which is pretty much where we started the movie.
Yeah.
But of course we did win the war. Woohoo!
Yes, we did.
You have some typical American guy standing out. We won the war. Woo!
Yeah. He's all fired up and all that. But yeah.
See, us Brits, like when the war ended, we probably just went indoors and had a cup of tea. But you guys really celebrated that.
Yeah, we had a 4-day party.
And we fade to black for a minute, and then Cap wakes up in a hospital room. And this is what you're saying, like the wraparound end. And I absolutely love this whole little bit. This is so fucking cool. Because I remember, I remember vividly sitting in the cinema thinking to myself, everything in the MCU is happening now and all this, and we've gone back to tell the origins of Captain America, which is cool. We get to see all the war stuff, but I kept thinking to myself, but how the fuck are we going to get from there to here? And obviously you get it. They turn him into a capsicle, as Tony Stark says, and then they bring him back in that little hospital room, which is pretty fucking cool.
It is, and I'm with you. Is even going back, back when I saw it originally. Again, I was not invested a lot in these Marvel movies. I just was watching it for Captain America. But going back and watching it again, I just kept thinking, I'm like, you know what? The movie had to do a couple things. You get Steve's, the origin story. You get all that, but you also have to get him into our time to keep these movies continuing. And I thought it was an awesome way of doing it. Having that, like you said, he wakes up in this hospital room, and you're like, okay, this is fucked up. He's still back in that day. Now, I will tell you, the whole idea of him hearing that baseball game playing on the radio for maybe one batter, and him going, you know what the hell's going on here? I was at that game. Kind of threw me off. I don't know that you'd be able to sit there and go, oh, you know what? Would you be able to hear 3 minutes of a soccer game that you went to years ago and you're like, hey, I was there? It doesn't, I'm telling you, but it's a cool way of doing it.
I've never remembered any game I've ever been to.
No, but it's great because it
usually
it also
alcohol
shows,
related, but
really, that's what happens here when we go to games. But the thing is, though, with it kind of does show he's not just a badass as well. He's pretty smart. So I do like that. And I love that lady's reaction when she doesn't know what to do. When he's like, what's going on? I'm asking you. And she's getting scared. She's hitting the buttons. And then he just, runs out. I love it.
Cheeky little mention that that lady that we're talking about is Agent Van Pelt from The Mentalist, the TV show. Sent out a little tweet to her, and she gave us a little retweet and a little like back.
That's pretty cool. Now get her on the show.
Plus, much like Natalie Dormer, why would you not have her for more?
I know, really. She's there for literally 30 seconds just to look surprised, but she does a good job.
And how does everybody like this Times Square scene? Epic as shit. Nick Fury. It's a great ending, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, the only thing that threw me off, and I wish they would have done a little bit more, but with Chris Evans, when he runs out, he doesn't seem that surprised right away. Like he's running, and then when you have Nick Fury come and stuff, then he kind of stops, and then it kind of seems to sink in a little. But really, him running out there, he's basically time traveling. And I thought that he might have acted a little bit more surprised, but he goes, and then but it's still epic, and I love it. I think it's a great ending. I thought it was awesome, and I was pumped up again, even watching it again, for this, that I was like, boy, that is such a good ending.
It is a great ending. It is.
Yeah.
And as you say, like as we've said, it sort of gets him back to where we need to be, and now we can move on. And the next movie, which is everything we've been building up to, the Avengers, can happen.
Yeah, and then you see, when I watch it, you have those ends seen up. I wanted to watch the Avengers again right then. This movie does set up, and obviously this is the last one you would have seen, then go to the Avengers, and they really do push that whole Tony Stark versus, Captain America, and his jealousy of, Tony's jealousy of his dad loving Captain America and stuff like that. Plays out so well after this movie, because really this movie is set up to make Captain America pretty much the all-American hero, but like he can't do anything wrong. Like he is a quote unquote, this is the Superman to me of the Marvel universe, just a guy who's clean cut, he does everything right, he doesn't, and I thought it did a great job.
Bit of mustache though. So with that being the end of the movie, and we've ran through the plot and everything, I just want to go around the table again and sort of like, this movie did come out in 2011. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I want to get everybody's feelings of like how did going back and rewatching this film, how did it kind of get you going forward? Because obviously this whole thing is the road to Infinity Wars. Does it get you any more pumped up to see what's coming next? Because Infinity War is the arc. It's the end of the arc that they started 10 years ago. So how's everybody feeling after rewatching Captain America again?
Well, I'll just go for it. I'm telling you, Captain America, this movie, again, it makes me want to watch Avengers. Right now. I want to go downstairs and watch Avengers right now. I can't say that it gets me fired up to see Infinity War, mainly because after this and going down the line, which we'll kind of go in a little bit with our top 5 or whatever, this was at that point like, oh my God, I love Captain America. I love this. And then Guardians of the Galaxy came out. And I'm telling you, that's what I want to see. I want to see more the Guardians in Infinity War. So Captain America after Civil War even, I still love them. But it's like, okay, they're going to do this nonsense with them fighting and, that sort of thing. And it threw me off I'm more of into Guardians of the Galaxy now. So Captain America First Avenger doesn't really get me fired up for the Infinity Wars, but I still love Captain America, and it gets me actually fired up to watch the rest of the movies leading up to it anyway. So that's kind of my take.
That's good enough, man. And Brandon, how are you on this now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much different thoughts than Jim, whereas this one doesn't, because it's so far back, I think. It doesn't fire me up for the ones coming. Well, I'll tell you what'll fire me up for Infinity War is Black Panther when I watch that, because that looks sweet, and it's more current, so I'll get a more current tease for what's down the pike. But this one makes me want to watch the next Captain America because I love Winter Soldier too.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of a similar tone, but kind of a step up at the same time. So that's what this one kind of puts me in the mood for.
Chris, how are you? How are you on the MCU? I mean, we've gone through these episodes where this is us 5 deep now. So how are you feeling about the MCU right now?
How am I feeling about the MCU? Same thing as the guys have just said. It doesn't really change my feelings towards the MCU. It's been great going back to watch the older movies.
So am I the only one that's different? Yeah.
Are you different?
Well, like I've said over the last year or so with these Marvel movies coming out, I've been a bit down on them. You know that.
Yeah.
You know I've been a bit down on this franchise as of late. Like I thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I thought the last half an hour of that movie is perfection on film. It's absolutely amazing. Everything before it is just tripe. It's not great.
Tripe is a very strong word.
Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok just for me is not a good movie whatsoever. So many people fucking sucked that movie's dick, and it's terrible.
They loved it.
Oh my God, I heard so many amazing things about that film. Yeah, but we'll get to that in a later episode. But I've been a bit down on the MCU, but going back and rewatching them, I'm kind of remembering how fucking great this franchise is. And how great it can be at times.
Yeah.
But
I think my beef with if I had to pick one movie to pick on, it would be Doctor Strange. I don't really like Doctor Strange. I don't know why. Like, I don't have a whole lot of reasons behind it other than it was just boring to me a lot of the time.
It's boring and it's very like standalone. You could forget about Doctor Strange.
It could easily not be anything to do with the MCU.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son Rafe, that's his favorite. He watched oh my God, he loved it, and I can't get through much of it. I've not seen it through because I get bored. And actually, I just don't like the characters that much in it. So I actually, it throws me off. He loves it. And when he saw when they released the trailer for Infinity War and they show Doctor Strange, he went nuts. Like that was his reason man, we got to see that. We got to see it. And, I loved it when you saw the Guardians at the end and stuff like that. But, yeah, I want to see that. And I'm with you, though. I'm with Kev. I've not been that fired up with most of these movies coming out recently. Like even going back at, say, Age of Ultron and, even Civil War, stuff like that. They just haven't been as good to me. And though going back and watching Captain America, I love it. And I do want to go watch, like we said, the Avengers, the first one, Winter Soldier and stuff like that. I'm fully in again. So I'm glad we could watch.
But I do completely agree with Brandon, and Black Panther looks badass.
It does.
Yeah.
But I'm going to call it now, and I've been calling it for a little while. Michael B. Jordan is going to steal every fucking scene he's in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I like him a lot.
He's an awesome actor. And
I didn't think he'd be in another superhero movie so quick. I was surprised when he took this role.
Yeah.
Who did he play?
Fantastic Four, he was Johnny Storm.
Oh, shit, right, okay.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers that. Really.
Probably the only good thing about that movie. Well, Toby Kebbell was quite good as well. But, yeah.
I don't hate the first half of that movie. It's the second half of that movie. It just, I don't know, takes a dump on itself.
You mean when it goes, was it a year later?
Previously.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, show me them fucking training.
Yeah.
Show me them getting used to their powers. The whole point of a superhero movie.
Yeah.
So, we're going to round out the show, lads, and we're going to round out the way we like to round out these shows. What we like to do is we like to get our guest hosts to give us their top 5 of the MCU so far to date.
All right. I'm going to start. Should I start at 5 and go down to 1?
You do
as
how
they
you want
often
to, pal.
do. My number 5 is Captain America Winter Soldier. Number 4 is Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 3 is Avengers. Number 2, Captain America First Avenger. And number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And I'll just, before I go on, Guardians of the Galaxy to me actually is in probably, I can't put it in like my top 10 all time, but it's probably in my top 20. And it was the first movie that I actually went to the theater that actually gave me the same feeling when I saw New Hope in the theater way back. I loved it that much.
You're going to have to rattle through
Go over your top 5
You're going to have
again.
to go through them again, because Chris was trying to write them down and you were just like, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Number 5, Captain America. No, number 5, Captain America Winter Soldier. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 3, Avengers. Number 2, Captain America First Avenger. And number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Volume 1.
I totally get what you're saying about Guardians 1 when it came out and getting that New Hope vibe, because it
blew my mind.
It was phenomenal.
I saw it in the theater with my kids, and actually, it as a loving father that I am, we're watching, and I actually in the middle, and this is such a weird deal that I was actually so glad that this movie was made, because my one son was exactly the age I was when I saw New Hope originally in the theater, and I actually thought, like, thank God, like, this is the best thing that I could ever ask for my son to be getting this just like I did, and it really, I'm telling you, I love that.
That's a very touching story, Jim. I wasn't expecting
you
that
don't
tonight.
expect that from Jim, do you?
No. You just expect, shut the fuck up, Eric.
I'm a man, and then did that. But no, I went into Guardians of the Galaxy not knowing anything about any of the characters.
Yeah, same.
And by the time I was done, I loved every one of them. I mean, I'm telling you, going in, the only thing I knew was Batista was in it, and because me and my son at that point we were watching wrestling, and that's all I knew. And I came out, and to have me go into that and come out with, like, this is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. It blew my mind. It really did, and I loved it. And then I slapped my kids again because I'm a man. That's what you do. But yeah, how about Brandon? What are your favorites?
My list isn't much different from Jim's, but in a different order here. I got number 5 is Captain America, First Avenger. 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy 1. 3 is Homecoming. 2 is Avengers, and number 1 is Winter Soldier.
Nice. Yeah. Which is
Winter Soldier is. I mean, it's number 1 with a bullet there, but way above number 2 and 3. Like it's my favorite by far. And if I had to give a shout out to any of the other ones, I really like Ant-Man for just being a blast and
I've never seen
as hell. Oh, Ant-Man's good.
That's my problem, is I've not seen every Marvel movie. I've not, and I told you earlier, I've only seen a little bit.
But yeah, Winter Soldier seems to be topping a lot of lists right
it's
now.
going to come out.
What we're doing with this is on the run up to going to see Infinity Wars, Chris is going to write up a nice little spreadsheet that he's working on. He's really happy about his spreadsheet, and we're going to be putting all the movies in, all the choices, and we'll figure out the top 5 of 365 and then guests going forward.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I'm in his fancy sheet over there.
Oh, he's got a fancy spreadsheet. He loves a spreadsheet.
Do you like a spreadsheet?
Guys, this has been Captain America, the first Avenger. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Before you go, again, just give a little quick shout out about the things you do, and we'll end the show proper.
I mean, if you guys are looking for me, you can find me on Twitter. It's at Beamer3660. I do a bunch of stuff with Trevitt. One of them's on Jim's podcast, The Marvel Minute. And then we have our own little deal. We do 4 books a week, Marvel Madness Comics Podcast. So that's where you can find me.
Yeah, and I'm on the Weird Science DC Comics Podcast. We come out every Sunday night. We have our main podcast. We have a spotlight that comes out. That's one book that comes out on Thursday. That's actually like an hour long if you don't want to deal with a 2-hour podcast. And kind of we say it's the dip your toe in and see if you like what's going on. But yeah, it's just Weird Science DC Comics Podcast.
And I can't believe it's been over a year now since we had Jim on the show.
I know.
Yeah, I had that, and then I had a little Suicide Squad review.
You did, yes.
And I'll tell you, I apologize for that because I listened to every other one, and I'm like, boy, they have all these good points and stuff. Mine was like 5 minutes of me talking about nonsense. I believe of like what happened when I went in the theater, and I had a whole plan where I was going to record before the movie and then after in the actual theater, and it didn't work out. But yeah, I apologize for that. But yeah, it's been a while. We have to get Eric on so we can yell at him.
Oh no, Eric's dead to me now.
Yeah, he is. He never does anything. He's an agoraphobe, even online on podcasts. He's the only podcast agoraphobe who's there hiding somewhere. He's got the mic there. He's hiding from it or something. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I'll just tell you, he would have had Doctor Strange in his top 5, so it would have mixed things up a bit.
Fuck his top 5.
Yeah. Yeah, screw it.
He doesn't get any space on the spreadsheet.
No.
And anyway, somehow his number 3 was Friday the 13th. It didn't make any sense. It made no sense whatsoever. He
ranked the Dark Universe movies.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Mummy. Yeah, the Mummy is what he got. But yeah, screw him.
Right, guys. That's been awesome. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Brandon, for coming on. I know it was a little bit short notice for yourself, but thank you for jumping on. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, it's been awesome, lads. Cheers.
Yep, thank you.
No worries, man, and keep watching them Marvel movies.
Yeah, thanks, you.
Guys.
Appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
I'm going to go make dinner.
And that was the Captain America, the first Avenger, but you will have to come back for the next episode, which is...
Avengers Assemble.
With Ian.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having Ian on again.
I'm looking forward to some good weedeny talk.
Some good weedeny talk.
Aye.
You're going to be doing the weedeny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking forward to that as well. It's been a while since I watched Avengers Assemble, and purposely I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to get this done, and then I can't wait to watch it.
I have watched it. I actually watched it after watching Cap. Mm-hmm. So,
will you watch it again before we do
Probably.
the episode?
Probably.
Cool. And that episode is incoming soon enough. It'll be like the week after this one with guest host Ian Lawson.
Uh-huh.
And Joe, meh.
Pussy.